In this video, we're going to talk about dinosaurs. You know, those incredible creatures that ruled our planet for, well, millions and millions of years. We're going to get into everything, like what they ate, how they lived, the whole deal. So let's just dive right in. Okay, first things first. Where did that awesome name even come from? Well, you have to go all the way back to 1842. A guy named Sir Richard Owen came up with it. He took two Greek words, dinos, which means terrible, and sauros, which means lizard. Put them together, and what do you get? Terrible lizard. Pretty fitting, right? So you might be wondering, what were they exactly? Were they mammals? Something else? Well, dinosaurs were a really special group of reptiles. And yeah, they did reptile stuff, like laying hard-shelled eggs and having scales. But here's a cool twist. We now know a lot of them also have feathers, and their closest living relatives today? Crocodiles and, get this, birds. No, seriously, every bird you see flying around is basically a tiny living dinosaur. How wild is that? It's honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around just how long these guys were around. They first showed up about 245 million years ago, and then they ruled the planet for 180 million years. To put that in perspective, we humans have only been here for a tiny fraction of that time. And they weren't just hanging out in one spot either. Nope, we found their fossils on all 7 continents. They were truly global. Some scientists even think certain dinosaurs could live for over 100 years. It all came to a crashing halt, of course, with that big mass extinction event, but wow, what a run. Alright, so what was a day in the life of a dinosaur actually like? Well, a huge part of it obviously was all about food, so let's talk about what was on the menu. When you think dinosaur, you probably picture a giant, scary meat eater, right? But here's the thing. Most of them weren't. The vast majority, something like 65%, were actually herbivores. They were plant eaters. And that makes total sense when you think about it. It's just like nature today. You need tons of plant eaters to support just a few carnivores at the top of the food chain. So how in the world do we know what they ate? It's pretty cool, actually. Their teeth tell the whole story. Paleontologists can look at a fossilized tooth and learn so much. The plant eaters, like a triceratops, they had these blunt, flat teeth that were perfect for grinding up tough plants. But the carnivores? Oh yeah, think T-Rex. They had those big, pointed, sharp teeth that were basically designed for one thing, slicing through meat. Okay, let's talk about how they lived with each other, because this next part really flips that old image of the lonely giant dinosaur on its head. It turns out the fossil record shows us that a lot of these dinosaurs had really complex social lives. And we've got some seriously solid evidence for this. For starters, we found these huge fossil sites where tons of them, adults and babies, all died together. We found rows of fossilized footprints, all parallel, showing that they moved in big, coordinated herds. And maybe the coolest part? There's even evidence suggesting they'd formed defensive circles to protect their young, kind of like you see bison do today. So yeah, they were definitely not all lone wolves. Okay, so if they're living in these big social groups, that brings up a pretty important question, right? How did they find a mate? Well, the answer is kinda mind-blowing, and it links back to birds again. Some pretty new evidence suggests that certain dinosaurs did these big, energetic, bird-like dances to impress a mate. I'm serious. Researchers found these huge scrape marks in the ground, basically in what look like ancient dance floors. The idea is that they'd get together, scrape at the ground with their feet, and show off all their cool feathers and crests. Just imagine that, a prehistoric dance-off. Okay, before we finish up, I've got a few quick surprising facts for you. These are some real mind-bogglers that just show how weird and wonderful these creatures really were. Alright, first up, the Stegosaurus. This thing was huge, right? Weighed several tons. But its brain? Its brain was only the size of a walnut. A walnut! It's just wild to think about that massive body being run by such a tiny little brain. And we always think of dinosaurs as being gigantic, but they really came in all shapes and sizes. Take the Lesothosaurus. This little guy was only about the size of a chicken. A chicken! It just goes to show you how diverse they really were. But speaking of the big guys, let's talk about power. Let's talk about the T-Rex. Its bite force was almost twice as powerful as a lion's. And lions have one of the strongest bites of any animal alive today. We're talking about a true apex predator here. And let's end on family life. Can you imagine a dinosaur egg the size of a basketball? Because they existed, and just like with the herds, we've found these big, communal nesting grounds. This suggests they got together to lay their eggs, and probably even cared for their babies, just like, you guessed it, modern birds. You know, the amazing thing is, we're learning new stuff about dinosaurs all the time. Paleontologists are pretty sure there are still tons of species out there we haven't even discovered yet. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With new fossils being dug up constantly, what other incredible secrets are just waiting to be uncovered? Alright, that is it this video, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.